Happy Sunday afternoon. Another edition, a real quick one regarding a beautiful book about the origins of jazz. It says on a Saturday night, but this is a Sunday afternoon. We're kind of late for it to be the weekend evening, but no time like the present. And we know jazz got its roots from the African American tradition as far as the slavery and work songs and call and response and so many other forms. So this is a foundation of so much you hear in so many places, even including for those of us who came from church. You hear a lot of jazz riffs and chords, and you even hear it in this sacred hymn from many years ago. So enjoy. This is by Leo and Diane Dillon. I don't know if it's a husband and wife group. Leo and Diane Dillon have been listening to jazz all their lives, and they often listen to music while they paint. Oh my goodness, they're after my own heart. They're artists too, and I'm sure they have synesthesia where they hear different keys and probably put different colors. Let's read a little more. They are the recipients of nearly every award in the field of children's book illustration, including the Caldecott, the Boston Globe Horn Book Award, the Coretta Scott King Award, the New York Times Best Illustrated Book Award, and the Society of Illustrators Gold Medal. They hope jazz on a Saturday night will encourage readers, young and old, middle, to explore jazz and the wealth of recordings and with live performances available. I take it that they're a married couple. They said that they live in New York City. Oh, this is so exciting. Never heard of them. But they're saying it's Saturday night. Time to savor an evening of spectacular jazz played by some of the greatest musicians ever, with John Coltrane and Charlie Parker on sax, Thelonious Monk on piano, and a solo by Ella Fitzgerald. Readers will watch the excitement build as the audience is captivated by the sheer magic of an unforgettable night. All right, this is wonderful. Oh, I can tell that look at these illustrations so far. Look at this palette, natural hues, brown, green. Oh, this is so cool. Let me see this. Oh, this mint green, but sage, I'll say. Okay, we're gonna come back to, well, let's try to get this right quick. Jazz is an original American art form born at the turn of the 20th century out of blues, ragtime, and marching band music with origins in African music. It developed primarily in New Orleans, like where Louis Armstrong was from, and grew and spread in many American cities such as Kansas City, St. Louis, and Chicago. There are several styles of jazz, which include classic jazz, hot jazz, cool jazz, Dixieland, swing, bebop, and fusion. The unique quality of jazz is the spontaneous improvisation. Although the musicians may start with a composed score of music, it is used only as a reference point. By the time they have played around, they have created a completely original piece of music called improvisation. That's right. Just create as you go. Surprise, surprise is always an element, and often when the musicians are playing, they may hear a particularly brilliant passage. Brilliant passage. I just want to make sure. Oh my goodness. A brilliant passage. And will acknowledge it with a nod or smile. Yeah, they're always communicating. The band. I just came from a church service, and they have 5 people in their band, and it is so cool to look at the 2 guitar players. You have someone in the keyboards, and you have the organ, and then you have the drummers. And I tell you, they have an afternoon service, and I just sometimes drop by because of the camaraderie and how they communicate, and they are just a wonderful group of artists that just makes off-the-chain music. I vote for enjoyment. Well, anyway, So they're always communicating with each other. I'm like, who's leading? How can they be so much in sync? But they just have kindred minds and hearts. Guest musicians drop in, adding the excitement. Although the dream team in this book never actually happened, most of these musicians perform together at some time in their careers. This adventurous and exciting art form reached its height of popularity in the 1940s and 1950s, but it is still very much alive and respected around the world. I tell you, we hear it in so many concerts. Hopefully you get to an outdoor concert sometime this summer at, oh my goodness, Millennial Park or Ravinia or just a local neighborhood park. Okay, let's go on. On stage, the musicians open their cases. Look at this picture. Oh, that's beautiful. And they set up their instruments and they take their places. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, I'm so distracted with this beautiful music. The music in the background, but especially the pictures. Look at this. You can hear the music that they're playing. That's the Thelonious Monk and his famous hat, yeah. Okay. Oh, spotlight's on. The announcer sweeps into sight. You're in for a session of magic tonight, or this afternoon. Ladies and gents, what a jam this will be. An evening of jazz immortality. Means it still lives on. The audience hushes. They worked all week long. It's their time to hear jazz. Now, along comes a song. You look at these magnificent pictures. At first, notes surprise. Then they sweeten and rise. Miles Davis on trumpet, sparks heat up the skies. Toes tapping, hands clapping, now sway left and right, because you move to the music on Saturday night. But like I said, you can move to the music, especially if you're in a black church. I tell you, stand up, clap, dance, and just recall why you have so much to be thankful for. That's our tradition. I'm just saying. It's a party every week. Repeat on the beat when Max Roach keeps the heat. On his drums, rhythm thrums, makes you jump in your seat. Jazz is mine, come along, won't be long, play my song. Fills my soul, makes me whole, jazz is mine, I belong. Charlie Parker, an alto sax, don't need a word. Notes fly through the sky on the wings of a bird. Let me do that again. Charlie Parker on alto sax, don't need a word. Notes fly through the sky on the wings of a bird. I was looking for the syncopation, or the same rhythm or cadence, but you know what? It could be jagged. It could be asymmetrical. It doesn't have to have like perfect symmetry and congruence and equal timing. Oh, so let's look. Take that time, shake the moon. John Coltrane on his sax. His sax talks to Charlie's, and Charlie's talks back. All right, love the green. Beautiful. A river of melody sketched in dim light. Now they look like they're in church here. Now come on. They really do. And right here, catch the excitement on Saturday night. I'm going to replace this sentence. A river of melody sketched in dim light, because where I go, and sometimes the Sunday afternoons, it is dim like this for church service. But like I said, the music is so contemporary. So a river of melody sketched in dim light. Catch the excitement on Sunday afternoon, going into Sunday night, a new week. Okay. Thelonious Monk invents on the keys, does his own thing, not aiming to please. Discordant chords now blend to be pure genius, joined in harmony. Love those discordant chords where the sound's like, what does that match? But then once you resolve, you're like, that's like life. Like, wow, does this pair up well with this color, this person? But I'm telling you, after a while, just be patient. You make beautiful music that way. I'm just saying. A guest with guitar, lightning fingers begin. He takes strings for a walk. Strings can talk. Now he's in. The musicians smile with a meeting of eyes. A cool night, a cool note. They all improvise. They make up right then and there. But I beg to differ. That happens in the mornings and the afternoon. You improvise throughout the day. Right? Play it by ear. That's how you get that term. Just see what unfolds. Just be open. Oh, on bass, Stanley Clarke, plucking sweet mellow tones. Feel the vibrations deep down in your bones. Yeah. Soul music, soul food. It's all soulful. Now Ella Fitzgerald sings bebop, doo-wop. Can't hold still, get our fill, never will. Please don't stop. Let your heart go, let it soar like a kite. We explode in applause, on our feet with delight. The curtain is closed, but we still hold the glow. Feel the beat in your feet. What a treat. Time to go. Come again. Tell us when it was all out of sight. Jazz is so cool on a Saturday night or a Sunday afternoon or whatever time of week. It's always with us. It's inside. Woo! Let's see if we can get through some of these musicians. Miles Davis, trumpet. He grew up in East St. Louis, Illinois. Early on, his mother wanted him to play the violin. Didn't know that. But he was given a trumpet as a boy, and that sealed his fate. Miles was playing trumpet professionally by age 15. After playing in various groups and recording his music, he formed his own group, the Miles Davis Quintet, which later became a sextet. Many consider him the most innovative jazz musician from the 1940s to the 1960s. His sensational improvisations brought him fame. Max Roach, drums. Oh, I have seen and listened to one of the best percussionists, and I'll give you a hint. He's down on 43rd Street in Chicago. Wow. And so many, I sometimes remind, well, he's now a first grader. He wants to be a drummer. He wants to be a music teacher, this young man. And he's the reason why I sometimes visit this place, a church. And the 7-year-old references this wonderful drummer who is so creative, so effortless, so flexible. But it's within him. A lot of these gifts are innate. They're passed down from our grandparents, our ancestors. It didn't just start with us. So it's within us. Well, Max Roach grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and his mother was a gospel singer. He began playing in a band at the age of 10. In grammar school, he often took home instruments to practice. He first came into prominence during the birth of modern jazz as a drummer, recording with Dizzy Gillespie and Coleman Hawkins, then joining Charlie Parker's band. He was involved in the freedom movement of the 1960s and also composed music for dance, theater, film, and television. Wonderful. Charlie Parker, alto saxophone. From the age of 7, Charlie grew up in Kansas City, Missouri. He had his first music lessons in public school and began playing the saxophone at the age of 11. At 14, he played his first professional gig. He developed his unique style of playing through jam sessions by listening to great musicians of his time and also through the process of trial and error. He was nicknamed Bird and the famous New York jazz club Birdland was named after him. You all remember Manhattan Transfers? Birdland. John Coltrane, tenor and soprano sax. John grew up in North Carolina and learned to play an instrument at the age of 13, which is a lot of times considered late, but he had natural giftedness. He started out playing clarinet, but when he became interested in jazz, he switched to the saxophone. He performed with numerous groups and was a band leader and composer. He reached a peak of fame in the mid-1950s when he played with the Miles Davis Quintet. John had a powerful influence of jazz and inspired an entire generation of jazz musicians. You all remember that radio station, FM 95.5, WNUA, a lot of John Coltrane music, but you still could hear it at College DePage, 90.9, I believe. Okay. Thelonious Monk, piano. He grew up in New York City, which remained his home until he retired. He performed with many groups and toured the United States and Europe. A brilliant innovator, he also recorded with several record companies. Although he remained less known and less understood by the general public for many years, he became famous for his controversial jazz improvisations and was highly respected by his fellow musicians. A lot of artists, a lot of musicians are misunderstood because they're different types of thinkers. They're very intuitive and they see the world in a different light. Innovators. Stanley Clarke, acoustic and electric bass. As a young person, Stanley played the accordion. Wow. Then moved on to the violin and later tried cello. He finally decided the bass was the instrument for him. He attended the Philadelphia Academy of Music and studied jazz, post-bop, fusion, and jazz funk. By the age of 25, he was already called a legend and a celebrated pioneer in fusion jazz music. He also created music scores for television and film. Ella Fitzgerald, voice. Ella grew up in Yonkers, New York. She considered herself a tomboy. Didn't know that. And loved sports. In 1934, as a teenager, she entered an amateur contest sponsored by the Apollo Theater in Harlem. And the rest is history. She was shy, I knew that, and self-conscious, yep. But on stage, she had no fears. Tisket, a tasket. She is most famous for her improvised scat solos. Her voice was flexible. Oh, what's that song? Da, 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 da. Jack, it's not Jack the Ripper, but it's one of her most beautiful songs. She kept on going up, modulating, and it actually was a song about, it was kind of gruesome. Ella Fitzgerald, Jack, or who was that? Mac the Knife. Yeah, but it's a beautiful song. But I'm like, couldn't they find another set of words? Well, anyway, her voice was flexible and had a wide range, and she could imitate many instruments. Yeah, I tell you, so much, so much. Maybe you could, well, that's it. That's it. Well, I just hope that you have a chance to check out some of these artists and do your own research. That's Ella Fitzgerald. Yeah. She's talking about teeth of a shark or... Anyway, we hope that you take some time and do your research and do some listening and enjoy and know that genius is within you. It's within all of us. Whatever you do to create and celebrate music, celebrate artistry, celebrate creativity, celebrate life. Have a wonderful rest of the Sunday.